Bladed Fury is an action platformer game developed and published by Next Studios and was released on Steam for the PC in December 2018. Right off the bat, the first thing I noticed about Bladed Fury was the fact that it looks so much like the Wii and PlayStation Vita game Muramasa the Demon Blade by Vanillaware. The art style is so similar that it's kinda crazy. However, the game is just different enough that I didn't feel like I was playing a complete ripoff. So let's dive into the game and see what it has to offer. Bladed Fury takes place in ancient China and follows a princess who's been framed for her father's death, and it's up for her to clear her name and avenge him in the process. She has several challenges that lie ahead of her on the journey and must be a master of all her abilities in order to succeed. She can do light and fast attacks with her Fiend Blade swords, heavy and slow attacks, as well as the ability to deflect enemy projectiles with a giant sword called Crimson Mass, block most attacks and also parry with her shield called Cicada Wings, use the souls of bosses she killed to assist her with damaging attacks or healing, as well as dodge enemy attacks. Certain attacks can also launch, stun, or weaken enemies into the air and leave them open for air combos for additional damage. Launching enemies is important since enemies that are knocked on the ground take less damage while they're in that state. Defeated enemies drop souls, which the princess will collect automatically. There are two types of souls, yellow and green. Green will restore her health, and yellow ones will give her a currency that she can use to buy new attacks and abilities. Finding as many yellow souls as possible throughout the stages is key because the more abilities unlocked, the easier things will be overall. These upgrades can be purchased at save points found throughout the stages. The princess can also heal with a single button press with a limited number of heals that will be refilled at every save point. The amount of heals she carries can be upgraded, and I highly recommend doing so. The enemies are varied enough to keep things interesting, and can become quite dangerous in large groups quickly. As I played through the game, I learned which ones needed to be taken out first and with haste in order to avoid headache, and in the final stages this is a necessity. Another necessity is dodging and using parries successfully. The latter has a bit of an odd timing to it, with it seeming like it needs to be done slightly before you would think in order for it to work. Combined with the fact that some enemies purposefully stall their attacks in order to throw off your parry timing, this can be tricky at first. Thankfully, dodges still work great for dashing away if a breather is needed. Learning how to parry effectively is best to do as soon as possible though, because it does lead to being able to do damaging attacks right after a parry is pulled off. Some enemies can be surrounded by a yellow glow which acts as a shield to keep them from being stunned, and these post-parry attacks can shred through this shield very quickly. The bosses throughout the game's 6 stages are varied, and I enjoyed the majority of them a lot. They climbed up in challenge at a fair pace, and I would say that besides the final boss, they're all pretty fair. None of them felt too similar in their attacks or appearance, and I'm glad because the bosses in a game like this need to be satisfying and fun. Fighting through these battles on the hard difficulty proves that mastering the combat feels great, but not many mistakes can be made. The final boss isn't exactly unfair, I guess, but he is a bastard and a half. I didn't really die many times in my first playthrough besides that fight. So if you're easily frustrated, you might want to take a breather here and there when taking that one on. The game's stages are varied in locations as well as colors and sights to be seen. They are also pretty straightforward with where you need to go shown on a minimap. It isn't too difficult to figure out where your next objective is located, but it's also beneficial to explore because you can find orb-like items that can be slashed until they drop souls. Every soul that you grab is beneficial. Some of the stages include some minor puzzles to help break up the action a little bit, and these work well and aren't thrown in so much that they're bothersome. The art style of Bladed Fury is beautiful. The bosses and enemies are very colorful and look just like paintings come to life. Most all the animations in the game are super smooth and a joy to look at. It really does look a lot like a Vanillaware game, and since there aren't any Vanillaware games on the PC yet, I will definitely give this game a pass for looking so similar. My only real gripe is the fact that some of the cutscenes that show a new area opening up or the introduction of a boss play every single time that you restart. So if you die and you have to start from a checkpoint, you'll see the same unskippable cutscene from whatever is going on. They aren't terribly long, but after a while I did wish I could skip them. This is just a minor issue though. The sounds are well done and I enjoyed all the clashes and slashes along with the voice work and music. The game is in Chinese with English subtitles and I think the voice acting was done really well. There are plenty of characters throughout the game to interact with, and they either give some kind of backstory on what's going on or something about their own troubled pasts. So would I recommend Bladed Fury? Well, with a low price point and a satisfying combat, I would say yes. I found it interesting and fun enough to complete in a single 3.5 hour sitting. and I really wanted to go through it again with all the combat knowledge I'd gained from my first time through. There's also a challenge mode that can be tackled in addition to the story mode after you finish the game for the first time. So if you want a simple but fun game to play over a weekend, then I would say snag this one. It's a lot of fun and the price isn't bad for all that you get.